The top focus on Newstrack.
We look at the evidence that the NCB has just at this moment against Deepika Padukone, Rakul Preet Singh, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor and Simone Kambata. That and a lot more coming up on the Newstrack. Here are the headlines we are tracking this Thursday evening. On Bollywood superstar Deepika Padukone, who is to land in Mumbai once her chartered flight takes off from Goa. The images that you see on your screen are from the Dambulim airport in Goa, where Deepika Padukone, dressed in white with her husband Ranveer Singh, both wearing COVID masks, as is very much a necessity at this moment. They went in straight past the journalists who were waiting for them into the Goa airport, where a private commercial charter has come in from Bengaluru, which will bring them to Mumbai. They've been locked in deliberations with their lawyers, preparing their legal strategy. We will look at the nature of the evidence that the NCB has against Deepika Padukone and where this case could go from here. You know, it's very significant because never before this has any investigating agency tried to take down the drug nexus in Bollywood in the manner in which the NCB is attempting to do at this moment. And each one character is revealing new details which is leading to more and more stars being caught in this drug dragnet. So we'd look at all of that, but let's just show you our lead story tonight.
A casual wave. A quick pose for the paparazzi. This was Deepika Padukone leaving for Goa to shoot for her upcoming film, to be produced by Karan Johar. Now she has to cut short her shoot and is all set to return to face the Narcotics Control Bureau. The biggest actor yet to be summoned by the NCB, Deepika now finds herself in the middle of the most sensational case to hit the tinsel town. The big Bollywood drug cleanup drive. She has been summoned by the NCB based on her WhatsApp chats with her manager in October 2017, allegedly seeking mal and specifically hash. Deepika is set to be interrogated in Mumbai. Sources say the actor has agreed to join the investigation. Through the day on Thursday, the actor kept everyone guessing about her movements. Sources tell India Today that since being summoned, Deepika has spent time consulting with her family and lawyers via video call. India Today has accessed the list of questions that the Narcotics Control Bureau will ask Deepika, who will have to give her answers in writing. First, Deepika will be questioned alone. Then she will be brought face to face with her manager Karishma, who she allegedly had sought drugs from in a 2017 chat. She will also be asked if she ever consumed drugs. If yes, who got them for her? Are the 2017 drug chats hers? How does she know Karishma Prakash? Who did Karishma procure drugs for? Who else was present at the party at Club Coco the same night as the 2017 drug chats? And did others also consume drugs at the party?
By serving summons to Deepika, the Narcotics Control Bureau has reached the top echelons of Bollywood. If the probe continues in the same direction, many more names are expected to come. With camera person Praveen Patil, this is Munish Pandey in Mumbai for India Today.
I want to go across live to our lead NCB correspondent Arvind Oja, who's been breaking every single development on this continuing saga. These are live pictures of the chartered plane that will be ferrying Deepika Padukone and Ranveer Singh from Goa to Mumbai. Arvind, सबसे पहले ये बताएं कि जब नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो दीपिका पादुकोण से पूछताछ करेगी तो किस तरह के सवाल हैं और एनसीबी के अधिकारियों से लगातार आपकी बातचीत हो रही है, वो कितने कॉन्फिडेंट हैं कि उनके पास मजबूत एविडेंस है दीपिका पादुकोण के खिलाफ एक केस बिल्ड करने के लिए?
देखिए राहुल, मैं आपको बताऊं कि जो दीपिका पादुकोण है उनके खिलाफ जो मजबूत एविडेंस है वो व्हाट्सएप चैट है जो मैनेजर है करिश्मा उनके साथ, जिसमें वो ड्रग्स को लेकर डिमांड कर रही हैं और जहां के लिए डिमांड कर रही थी वहां की तस्वीरें भी इंडिया टुडे के पास एक्सक्लूसिव हैं। तो क्वेश्चनर पूरी तरह से तैयार किया है नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो ने। लेकिन राहुल, सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग होने जा रहा है दीपिका पादुकोण के साथ इन्वेस्टिगेशन, क्योंकि दीपिका पादुकोण एक तरीके से लीगली भी तो घिरी हुई है, लेकिन वो एक बड़ा ब्रांड वैल्यू, करोड़ों का उनका ब्रांड वैल्यू है। तो अगर जो सवाल पूछेंगे कि जैसे आपने ड्रग्स कभी लिया, तो अगर वो सवाल का जवाब देते कि हाँ उन्होंने कभी ड्रग्स लिया, जाहिर सी बात है इंडिया टुडे के पास सबसे पहले इंफॉर्मेशन होगी इस बात की। तो अगर मीडिया के पास ये इंफॉर्मेशन आती है कि दीपिका पादुकोण ने ये एक्सेप्ट किया कि वो ड्रग्स लेती हैं, तो वहां उनकी जो ब्रांड वैल्यू है उसको झटका लगेगा। लेकिन अगर वो एक्सेप्ट करती हैं कि उन्होंने ड्रग्स लिया है, तो सजा जो होगी वो बहुत कम होगी। बहुत मुमकिन है कि उनकी अरेस्टिंग ना हो, बेलेबल ऑफेंस है। लेकिन अगर वो ये बोलती है कि उन्होंने ड्रग्स किसी और के ले लिया था और उसमें फाइनेंशियल अंगल आ जाता है, तो 27A एक्ट लग जाएगा उनके ऊपर, जो रिया चक्रवर्ती के ऊपर लगा है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ ड्रग्स फैसिलिटेट करना। तो ये सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा, क्योंकि दीपिका पादुकोण एक जानी मानी बॉलीवुड एक्ट्रेस है जिनकी ब्रांड वैल्यू भी मार्केट में है, करोड़ों की ब्रांड वैल्यू है। तो जब वो नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो के ऑफिस आएंगी, तो उनके दिमाग में उनके जो तमाम PR एजेंसीज है, उनके जो तमाम लॉयर्स है, वो ये समझा बुझा कर भेजेंगे। और ये दीपिका के दिमाग में भी होगा कि जब वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में जाएंगी तो किन सवालों के जवाब देंगी। लेकिन मुश्किल दीपिका पादुकोण के लिए यहां पर यह फंस गई है कि इंडिया टुडे के पास वो व्हाट्सएप चैट भी है जो नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो ने ट्रैक किया है 2017 का, जिसमें वो मैनेजर क्वान कंपनी की, उनकी खुद की भी मैनेजर है दीपिका के करिश्मा, उनसे वो ड्रग्स चैट है। और करिश्मा को भी सम्मन किया गया है, दीपिका पादुकोण को भी सम्मन किया गया है।
Thanks Arvind Oja for that update. Now what Arvind is saying is important, is that ordinarily it's an easily bailable offense if you accept that you consumed narcotics the first time round. However, because this is a mega Bollywood celebrity, that acceptance will have a spiral effect on everything that Deepika Padukone stands for. And if she doesn't accept, then she'll have to explain who was she arranging the hash not weed for. And that then has even greater complications, because that could potentially mean more cases being put against her, more provisions being invoked against her, and that will make it more complex. So let's just try and understand all of what is at play. First and foremost, how does the NCB get hold of a private chat? What is the evidentiary value of a private WhatsApp message? Secondly, what does this mean for you and me? So many people have been buzzing me asking, what happens to our WhatsApp messages? Can any investigating agency get hold of it? Isn't WhatsApp supposed to be end-to-end encrypted? And if it is, then how in the world did the Narcotics Control Bureau get hold of this chat between Karishma and Deepika Padukone? And can that be held against her? So to try and put perspective on all of this, I'm joined on this broadcast. I want to welcome first Saika Datta, cyber expert, policy hack author. With us also on this broadcast is Hitesh Jain. He's a leading lawyer and a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We've got Sara Ali, well-known social activist. We've got Nalini Asthana. And I want to go across first to Saika Datta on these questions about WhatsApp messages and the legal evidentiary value of a WhatsApp message, which isn't from Deepika's phone just at this moment, but it's only logical that when Deepika Padukone comes before the NCB, they're likely to say phone though. They want to go through her messages. If she's cleaned them out, they'll put forensic experts on the act and try and retrieve messages that may have been deleted. If those messages are found, what is the evidentiary value of those messages which are on Deepika Padukone's phone?
Rahul, I'll just try and first explain the technology and what it means as far as the data bit is concerned. So there are two aspects to this. One is data at rest or data in transit. Now the police is legally equipped to deal with both under various circumstances. Data in transit is if I am sending a message from my WhatsApp to your WhatsApp and this data is traveling, then under certain powers, especially under Telegraph Act and the Information Technology Act, the police can access it. 10 agencies have been notified by the Government of India. State police is one of those 10 agencies, which can then access that data and intercept it legally. It's called legal interception or legal monitoring. In this case, happens to be a case of data at rest, which is data when it is kept within a device or in a cloud. somebody can access it. Now, this is where it gets into tricky legal territory. According to Article 20, Subclause 3 of the Indian Constitution, you cannot self-incriminate. And there is an 11-judge bench of the Supreme Court which has ruled that yes, this is a valid thing, and you cannot be forced to give up your password or passkey of your device when the police ask for it. Now, if you have seen what has happened in America, for example, the FBI versus the Apple case, where Apple refused to share the passkey of a device which they wanted to use for incriminating someone, and Apple said, we will not share it. So they took it to an Israeli hacker who used one vulnerability in the Apple encryption code and then took that material. So that's one aspect of it. In this case, it's very interesting that most probably Deepika or anybody else's chat has been taken from some other accused person's phone because the police have accessed it. Now, we'll have to check under what circumstances the police actually took that. Now, when you are using WhatsApp, you asked a very interesting question. It is end-to-end encryption. Now, end-to-end encryption, so far, WhatsApp cannot be compromised, but that applies to when data is at rest. If that WhatsApp chat is lying on your phone, then yes, they will need a certain access, which is the passkey to your phone or your cloud to access that data. Now, many people don't do a backup to the cloud, so that will be difficult to get. But if the chat is still on your phone, and if you have still deleted it, under forensics, you can, using forensics tools, you can still access that data because many times devices in their hard drive retain that data.
Okay, so these are important points that you're making. One, that if the agencies can find WhatsApp messages on your phone, even if they are deleted, you can't be forced to self-incriminate. So apart from that one message which the agencies already have, it's not as if, and I want to bring in Karuna Nandi on this, agencies can force, can they, in your view, Deepika Padukone, give us your phone, give us your passport, give us your password, we'll try and pry into your phone, your deleted messages, try and see whom you've been messaging, who you've been asking for drugs, hash, weed, whatever else it is that she may or may not have been consuming. You've got Saikat making the point that you can't, the agencies can't force someone to do that. However, we've already seen in the case of Jaya Saha and Riya Chakrabarti, the agencies have the WhatsApp messages, even those that had been deleted, and are using those as evidence. How compelling is that evidence, Karuna?
There isn't the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine in this country, Rahul, which I think there should be, because I think it's completely in line with the 9-judge bench on privacy. Now, what is that doctrine? It means that if you have got evidence in a manner that is unlawful, then you can't use it. That's a doctrine that exists in the New York State and a large number of other jurisdictions.
How do you decide that it's been accessed in an unlawful fashion?
If it's illegal, if it's been accessed in an illegal way, so it has to have violated some law in the way that you've accessed it, right?
No, but let's deal with the case that we have at hand, Karuna, because you've got Jaya Saha and Riya Chakrabarti who are accused in the case. They've got FIRs against them. The NCB is probing those FIRs, and they've said, okay, show us your phone, we want to see who you've been chatting to, and they've now dug those messages out, even though they'd been deleted, now wanting to use those as evidence. Is that kosher or not?
Section 69 of the IIT Act is a big problem. What it says is that agencies have the right to de-encrypt particular messages. Now, what Saikat was quite rightly pointing to was he was pointing to the provision in the Telegraph Act, which was the earlier provision that covered surveillance. And that went to the Supreme Court, and that was challenged in the Supreme Court by the People's Union of Civil Liberties. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court came out with a judgment that merely said that an in-house mechanism approving such surveillance would be sufficient, and a really...
No, but this isn't surveillance. That's the point, Karuna. This is not surveillance. This is not as if the data was in transit and therefore accessed by the agencies. This is somebody whose phone has these messages. Those messages have been deleted, and that's where I want to bring in Hitesh Jain as well. And then those messages are used to incriminate that person. But that is a form of self-incrimination, and self-incrimination isn't allowed. Hitesh Jain, does that then make the case of the NCB rather weak and tenuous?
I think we are jumping one step, because first and foremost, what you are talking is material, not evidence. This material becomes evidence when it is proved in the court of law. So we should not confuse this material and evidence. Today, we are also confusing. Today, what has happened is only summons has been issued. We do not know whether she will be made and accused after that. And after she has been made and accused, what are the charges? We do not know. Prima facie, from what is happening is that there is some evidence of wrongdoing and it requires investigation. So we should leave it at that, because what has happened today, you have Jaya Saha, you have that manager, whoever you are talking about. I'm sure they would have given their statement. We are there, some material would have been there. So tomorrow what happens is basically she's confronted. We are trying to jump and we are trying to get an idea of American jurisprudence and this jurisprudence and surveillance and all. This is not a case of surveillance. This is a case under investigation where there is a material that is available, and on the basis of material, a person is going to be confronted. Tomorrow, you don't know whether there is going to be a statement. Someone, if he is ultimately made an accused, what will be the statement of co-accused also? So ultimately, these are all material. Even WhatsApp chats, there have been umpteen cases where the WhatsApp chats have been considered as an evidence provided.
No, but there's a difference here, Hitesh. Once again. Just intention to commit a crime is not the same thing as actually committing the crime. So in this WhatsApp message, she's saying hash not weed, she's saying can you arrange for drugs, malhena, etc. But she can just turn up before the NCB and say, yes, I discussed this, but I didn't consume the drugs. And therefore, how does the NCB then go about proving if she just denies it?
Well, NCB is an investigating agency. I'm sure they know how to do their job. When they are doing at the stage of investigation and when they confront, I agree with you, intention is not there. But ultimately, if they have the material to prove that an offense is committed, they will file an FIR and file the charge sheet in the matter. So I think we should not jump at this stage whether FIR is going, whether they are going to arraign her as an accused, whether they are going to, after arraign, they are going to arrest her, whether they are going to file charge sheet. These are all speculation.
Karuna Nandi, what's Deepika's legal strategy most likely to be? So you've got material, yes, you've got material most certainly to confront her. You can say, here are your messages, you're asking for mal, you're saying hash not weed, you're setting up at Coco, you're going to reach at 11:30. That's prima facie material of wrongdoing, says Hitesh Jain. What's Deepika's most likely legal strategy going to be? Karuna Nandi.
I am not a soothsayer and I don't know what their lawyers are going to say. What I do want to say, though, is that Section 69 is not just about interception. It is also very much about decryption, which is what the previous conversation missed, right? Section 69, therefore, is contrary to Article 23 and the right not to self-incriminate on the face of it. But as far as I know, no court has so far found on that particular issue, and they must. There is a petition, I believe there's a petition before the Supreme Court right now. But so one way to go is to say that, look, I don't, what you have from Jaya Saha's phone, one is hearsay. Because this is not direct evidence that is being deposed to by either party to the conversation, whether it's Karishma or whether it's Deepika. So therefore, even if it's on the chat, it's merely hearsay evidence. That Deepika could say that she doesn't want to give her phone, right? And that she has a right against self-incrimination, etc. They would then have to perhaps get a court order to do so. She could perhaps resist it by saying that, look, this is an invasion of my privacy, that I have a right to self-incrimination, and I want to join the constitutional challenge even in the Supreme Court to Section 69 and to say that I have a right to say whatever I wish, and you investigating agencies have to do your own job. Don't try and make me say things that are in any case inadmissible and then hope for a recovery, right?
But
so therefore,
so that's the legal case. But what also happens, Saikat, is the fact that when you're before the investigating agency, there's also a certain amount of duress, there's a certain amount of pressure, and the agency say, lao phone, and then the person who's accused at that moment has to have thought this through, that you have the right to say that I will not give my phone, because if you need the phone, you need a court order to go get the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And both Nishit and Karuna are right. But I just want to make a distinction. Nishit is right. This is not a case of surveillance. This is a case of material which exists, etc. Now, if legally I think I'm on a fairly strong wicket. If somebody says, if police from the police says, give me your phone and now tell me the password or give me your fingerprint to open the phone, I'm legally on strong grounds to say I will not share it. But you can use your tools to try and open it. Now, depending on whether I use an Android or iPhone, depending on how good the encryption is, whether the forensics will be able to jailbreak it and open it, that's one aspect of it. But also, the Indian Evidence Act, especially when it comes to digital evidence, is again very complex. So, for example, you will have to establish a chain of custody, how you access that chat, how you have accessed it, and then what is the hash value, MAC address of the device, etc. That's an incredibly complex area as far as evidentiary value is concerned. But you will also have to establish a lot of circumstantial evidence in connection with whatever is on the chat. Because somebody is saying hash, now I could be talking about a hashtag for all I care. Plus, these are chats which have been accessed from somebody else's phone and not from somebody whose name is being taken right now. So therefore, it's an incredibly complex area. So from a technology perspective, from a privacy perspective, these are on very, very flimsy grounds.
Okay, so along with Deepika Padukone, two more actors, Sara Ali Khan and Shraddha Kapoor, are also set to appear before the NCB on Saturday. Sara returned to Mumbai from Goa today, but chose to evade questions being posed to her by the media. She was named by Riya Chakravarti, who alleged that Sushant Singh Rajput took the highest dose of drugs with Sara, and in fact it was Sara who initiated Sushant into the world of drugs. Here's the story.
Sushant Singh Rajput co-star in the film Kedarnath. The two allegedly smoked marijuana on the sets of the film. Sushant's girlfriend Riya Chakravarti had said in a statement to the Narcotics Control Bureau. Sara, the daughter of Saif Ali Khan, from his first marriage with Amrita Singh, is all set to appear before the Narcotics Control Bureau on Saturday. Sara was in Goa shooting for a film when the Narcotics Control Bureau issued her summons. On Thursday afternoon, she returned from Goa, where she was reportedly holidaying with her mother Amrita Singh. On landing in Mumbai, Sara first approached the main gate, but in a bid to evade media questions, made a quick U-turn and left minutes later from a different exit. She's now consulting her legal team. The investigation against Sara is mainly based on Sushant Singh Rajput's girlfriend Riya Chakravarti's statement to the Narcos. She claimed that it was during the shooting of Kedarnath that Sushant took very high doses of drugs along with Sara. Riya, in her interview to India Today, had first revealed Sushant's drug use on the sets of Kedarnath.
It's unfortunate कि किसी के गुजर जाने के बाद हमें उनकी वाइसेस को ऐसे एक्सप्लॉइट करना होता है, पर अब मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है. Yes, सुशांत यूज्ड टू स्मोक मैरिजुआना, और हाँ, वो काफी रेगुलरली पीते थे. मुझसे मिलने से पहले से पीते थे. इनफैक्ट केदारनाथ की शूटिंग या उससे जरा सा पहले से उन्होंने शुरू किया था ये.
Sara was also named in testimony of the boatman at Sushant's Pavana Lake House. The boatman identified Sara as a visitor to many of Sushant's parties. He claimed drugs and alcohol were consumed at these parties hosted by Sushant and attended by Sara.
NCB से क्या संबंध है सारा लेके?
With the Bollywood drug scandal getting murkier, the question remains if the Narcotics Control Bureau can collect enough evidence to book Sara and the others. Bureau Report, India Today.
Sara Ali Khan and Deepika Padukone will be questioned by the Narcotics Control Bureau on Saturday. Tomorrow it will be the turn of Rakul Preet Singh, who will be arriving at the NCB office in Mumbai. There was a huge amount of drama this morning after Rakul claimed that she hadn't received summons from the NCB. The NCB in turn accused the actor of making excuses to evade questioning. Rakul Preet will be asked about her links with Riya and Sushant.
Rakul Preet Singh did not show up at the NCB office in Mumbai on Thursday as was expected. The actor claimed that she did not get any summons. After her no-show, the officials of the NCB visited her Mumbai residence to serve her summons a second time. Rakul Preet will now face questioning on Friday.
The Narcotics Control Bureau first said that Rakul Preet is not only being evasive but also non-responsive. At 11:24, NCB officials on record said that Rakul Preet not only acknowledged the summon but also told them about her location. Later in the day, NCB officials visited her house in Bandra, Mumbai West, and also issued the summon handed over physically to the actor's house.
Rakul Preet is under the scanner after she was named by Riya Chakrabarti during her questioning by the NCB. Riya and Rakul Preet are good friends. Rakul Preet's name was also revealed by Sushant Singh Rajput's manager Jaya Saha. The ongoing drug investigation by the NCB has, however, put a cloud on her continued rise to stardom. With Ashutosh Mishra in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Are we seeing a much-needed cleanup of the drug nexus in Bollywood, or is this just a witch hunt? Joining us is Sara Shah Halim, Harshita Kashyap, Nalini Asthana. I want to go across to Sara Shah Halim first. You know, from our first conversation, it's very clear that the Narcotics Control Bureau has in its hands WhatsApp conversations where Deepika Padukone is seen asking for drugs. That by itself, if she did consume the drugs, is a violation of Indian law, and therefore the NCB has grounds to enter into this case. Do you believe this is a much needed cleanup and long overdue, or do you think it's a witch hunt?
Rahul, see, firstly, I treated this before as well, that consumption of drugs, whether for personal usage or for commercial usage, is illegal. There is no other debate on that. Now, what is of concern here is the right of privacy. What everyone is talking about is the WhatsApp end-to-end encryption, because we know the right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of the right to life and our personal liberty under the Article 21 of our Constitution, and as part of the freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution itself. So here, every citizen of India is concerned that WhatsApp's leaking. Now today, any thana, any surveillance company can get hold of any chat. So where is the right of the citizen? It feels like Orwellian times, George Orwell, where every citizen is under the scanner. So the concern here is right of privacy. But again, drugs, I feel this whole thing as if this is the only, major concern of the government, I feel is a diversionary tactic. Because the day Deepika is summoned, which is tomorrow, also, incidentally, millions of farmers will be protesting against the...
Well, now, Deepika will be appearing before the NCB on Saturday, so that doesn't entirely hold. But Harshita Kashyap, Sara raises questions about privacy, but does the right to privacy not end when you start breaking the law? If Deepika Padukone and Sara Ali Khan and the others did break the law, should they not be held accountable, and why not?
Exactly, they should be held accountable because they are youth icon, and first and most important thing, there are so many things their privacies are being violated, but they are happy about it because publicity, it's for their good fame. But unfortunately, this time this is a violation of law, so we cannot take this. And most important thing, drug, of course, it's everywhere, but it's all started from one investigation. So we have to understand that we are not targeting Bollywood or any big name for like publicity or something like that, but it is much needed cleanup. If it has to start from Bollywood, then why not?
And Nalini Asthana, the Narcotics Control Bureau can and will argue that it's not as if they went on some fishing expedition against Deepika Padukone. They've been probing this stage by stage, and as their evidence progressed, evidence emerged which pointed in the direction of Deepika Padukone, which is why she's been called in for questioning. So what's wrong with that?
Rahul ji, the thing is not that it started investigation all the Bollywood people, the stars. It started from the Sushant's death or suicide, murder, whatever it was there. Then it came to Kangana's the second chapter. Now this is the third chapter. One by one investigating, the things are coming out. It's just not by the stars and these people consuming drugs and these drugs parties, but the thing is the mafia behind this, all who is supplying as anti-national and anti-social elements. So the thing is NCB is looking after and investigating in a very nice way. Whosoever it's involved will come out. The thing is, they are very good artists, all are very good artists and very known figures in their own field. But when you say the things are personalized in the parties and other things, and we should say no one is above the law. If law says it's a culprit, it's a culprit. If law says it's not a culprit, one.
So let me put that question then to Karunanandi. There is the right to privacy, but there is also the Indian law. And where does privacy end? Because the moment you start breaking the law, should the likes of Deepika Padukone, no matter how popular and influential they may not be, should they not be held to account? Karuna.
You know, I think when people speak about the law, they speak of it in value-neutral terms, right? And it's very important not to do that. Because if you look, for example, at how it's made, for example, if you see yesterday or day before, how law was made, the opposition was basically kicked out of the Rajya Sabha and some ordinances were passed through before that, the day before that, you had a voice vote, right? This is not just this government, though this government is a huge offender. The UPA government passed a section called 66A. Now, what did that section say? That if you send a message that is annoying or inconvenient, and I quote, these are the words, right? That you can go to jail for 3 years. Now, I was part of the case where this provision was struck down. So when people in a sort of, you know, excuse my language and I'm not being personal about the panel here, say in a kind of, you know, parsimonious, sort of holier than thou way, that, oh, when somebody else is breaking the law, they lose all their other rights. Honestly, that is nonsense. All their other rights still exist. For example, we spoke of Article 23, which is a subset of the right to privacy, right? Secondly, let us be clear that when the law is applied in a selective way, this is not a legal argument. This is because there is no Article 14 when it comes to breaking the law, right? We can't say that in India. In other jurisdictions, there is. So you can't say, for example, that mera ghar tod diya because I was in violation, uska ghar kyun nahi toda? You can't really say that. However, if we see the way in which NGOs are being targeted, is the RSS, which is the largest NGO in terms of foreign funding, are they being targeted? No, of course not. Are they even under scrutiny? No, not really. Which, if you look at all these women who are suddenly being targeted in Bollywood, and Rahul, I myself have been on 4 extremely intelligent shows talking about, is this a diversionary tactic or not? But what's actually happening? What are we not looking at? You know? What are we not looking at in the other top headlines of the day? We're not looking at a possible invasion by China enough. We're not looking at the fact that the economy has contracted by 25% and there are people who are starving. There are many more people who are starving. There are many more children who are now malnourished. That COVID is at one of the worst. It's risen again and it's at a terrible stage. The FCRA now, today a bill was passed in Parliament where foreign funding was limited even further for the NGOs. And this very government passed a bill saying that foreign companies can give the parties money, right? And nobody knows, it's all anonymous, it's all confidential. So therefore, what are we really looking at? I think what we're really looking at is a wag the dog sort of situation where there's a made-for-TV abuse of power going on. And why do I say this? Because nowhere is there an allegation that any of these people smoked any or what even attempted, even, you know, and I think it's very important to say that the NCB alleges that X is happening because I have defended cases and won them where the police has put in selective leaks, where there's been a huge media trial, the police has put in selective leaks, and ultimately the court has said that, look, this is absolute nonsense, it's made up, it's
okay, so let Nitesh Jain respond to this. Selective application of the law against those seen as not being favourable towards the government, those who are on the side of the government don't seem to have these cases piling up against them, and those who don't, even on flimsy grounds, are having to answer to investigating agencies. Respond to all of what Karunanandi just flung your way. Nitesh Jain.
Well, frankly speaking, Bollywood celebrities are not above the law. So when Bollywood celebrities can make a Udta Punjab and blame the whole state of Punjab, then there is not a problem. Now you are aware, Rahul, you are a sports passionate person and you have covered sports extensively, and you are aware that one simple sample of drugs found in a blood, the sports person is debarred from the entire event, his medals are snatched. He's stripped of all his titles and everything. You are aware about what has happened with the leading sports person. So then to claim that Bollywood, I mean, there have been the IPL also went through the cleanup, and Bollywood is also going through the cleanup. To just juxtapose that this is a favorable people, non-favorable people, whereas Deepika Padukone said that I am a hostile to this government, or I do not agree with this government, or these people like Rakul Preet or Sara Ali Khan, or they are saying that we are against the government. At the end of the day, the job of the investigating authority is to investigate, and he cannot make otherwise every common person will say, listen, we are very poor people. A poor people is prosecuted and investigated every day for the narcotic, the Drugs Act and all. And there are no other.
Okay, so that's a fair point. Let Karuna Nandi respond to this. If you look at Sara Ali Khan, if you look at Shraddha Kapoor, or you look at Simon Kimbata, and if you look at the utterances of Deepika Padukone, apart from the fact that she went to JNU when she did, especially the first three haven't said or done anything which would make it seem as if they're anti-Modi or anti-government, and therefore how fair is that charge? It's not as if the NCB started looking for them, their name emerged in the process of an investigation.
Allegedly. Because let's be clear that even in a court of law, forget the media, where nobody actually has access to the WhatsApp chats. We only have access to what some channels claim that the NCB has released to them. And the NCB itself, that evidence is likely not admissible in court because that itself would be hearsay, right? So, in such a case, Rahul, let's just look at what is even being alleged, right? If you look at this cleanup of Bollywood, right? What is being alleged is that these women, and they're all women. Why are they all women? What is being alleged is that they all either consumed marijuana or try to consume marijuana. Now, what is marijuana? Marijuana is a drug that is, and that a hash is a boiled down form of marijuana. It's a concentrated form of marijuana. And there is a petition in the Delhi High Court by the great Indian movement to legalize cannabis, saying that this is something that has as much damage or long-term damage as alcohol, that the alcohol lobby is something that historically has made cannabis something that is frowned upon, so criminal, thought of as drugs, and that please make it legal, not just for medicinal purposes, but for all purposes. But that petition doesn't matter beyond a point. No, one second, Karuna. That petition hasn't been answered yet. It's still illegal. It's still illegal.
Yes, so just because there's a petition doesn't change the facts. Breaking the law today is still breaking the law. When that petition is heard, if there is a judgment, then things may change. But till then, if you've consumed drugs, you've broken the law.
If I may be given 20 seconds.
Rahul, the only common people are still prosecuted for
is that
cannabis.
We have to scale, right? Tomorrow, if Deepika Padukone had a parking violation, would everyone go crazy? No, of course not. So why is suddenly everyone going nuts and getting these women make better television when they are accused of something that is immoral? And why are all these women being accused of...
So, Hitesh, very quickly, where are the men? Are the men smoking just love and fresh air? Are they having tulsi ka kala? How is it that none of those names are coming out? Secondly, is this an international equivalent of just breaking a red light, and should there be so much of an hullabaloo about it? Respond to what Karuna asks.
Rahul, Madhu Mantena is a leading producer, and he was also summoned. There are other men also who are arrested. This is just the investigation is commencing. Therefore, to judge where are the men and where are the women, it is not fair. And one more very important point. When they say this is a diversionary tactics and on media this is not discussed, then that is not the apprehension on us. That is the apprehension on the news channels.
No, so can I just say, since this point was made, one second. Anybody who's been watching India Today would accept that we have done more coverage of the India-China border conflict than virtually anybody else. There's been more coverage about the crash in the economy. No, forget the competition. I don't care what... one second. Channels that make up a banana republic, what they do or don't do, I can't account for and I don't care for, and neither should you.
Is making the charge on you.
No, she's not. Because it's not factually correct.
A farmer's bill, you're discussing economy, you're discussing China. I'm sure you're discussing everything. And I'm watching your channel, you're discussing all these issues.
No, are you asking me? Are you telling me? Are you watching that you know that we are discussing China?
You that you are
He's congratulating you.
I am telling that you are discussing, and this lady is saying that that there is a diversionary tactic. Such issues are not discussed. So please educate her that on your channel you discuss the Chinese thing, you discuss farmers.
No, she's worried about her competition. No. Karuna is worried about our competition. I'm telling her not to bother with our competition, not to bother watching our competition. If you watch only India Today, you'll be fine.
That is the reason I'm saying there is no diversionary. At the end of the day, all the issues are discussed.
Interject here.
Okay, very quickly. I'm out of time.
Why did the monsoon session wrap up 7 days before schedule? We know that we have 57 lakh coronavirus cases. Why didn't the BJP
if the opposition is boycotting, what do you do?
And
opposition to attend the parliament.
Discuss COVID-19 in
Miss
the
Nandi,
parliament.
first of all, first try to educate. In parliament, they pass the bill.
I can't hear her.
Not ordinance.
Okay.
Miss
This,
Nandi, please educate
I can't have
yourself.
guests
In
speaking at the same
parliament,
time. This is not how we run debates. One second. Please do not try and turn this into a banana republic, because that's the last thing we want. Here the law must prevail and there must be good sense and some ability for our viewers to understand and crystallize what's being said. So they go back from this debate richer, with greater insights than they had when we started. There are very, very serious questions. We've looked at questions about privacy, questions about end-to-end encryption, everyone wondering if even if they've deleted all the messages on their phone, is it still safe? For one, if you've got them in your archives, if you've got them in your cloud and there's something on your phone you want to get rid of, this is a good time to do it. However, you've got, as we just discussed, Deepika Padukone's messages. The NCB will question her about those messages. We're tracking the story. We'll have a lot more for you when we come back on the other side of a very quick break. Stay with us. Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kanwal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.